Hi there, and welcome back to Clarkenomics. In this video, we're going to talk about something called price elasticity of supply, which is actually very similar to price elasticity of demand, just with a couple of key differences. So, first things first, what is price elasticity of supply all about? Well, as you remember from looking at supply curves, quantity supplied depends on the price of a product. And it's a positive relationship, that's the law of supply. So the higher the price, the higher the quantity supplied, the lower the price, the lower the quantity supplied. We know that, that's the law of supply. But what price elasticity of supply tells us is how sensitive are producers to the price of a product, right? How much do they care about the price? How much is that going to alter their production behavior? So if a firm has a more elastic supply, what that means is producers are very sensitive to the price of a product. So when the price of that product changes, it's going to cause a big change in quantity supplied, right? Either they're going to make a lot more of the thing or a lot less of the thing. They're very reactive. They're very sensitive to a change in the price. A less elastic supply is the opposite, where producers are insensitive to the price of a product. So the price can change, whatever, but it's going to create a small change in quantity supplied. So they're not going to really alter their production behavior that much due to a change in the price of a good. So this is just like price elasticity of demand. If it's elastic, it's a big change in quantity resulting from a change in price. If it's less elastic, it's a small change in quantity resulting from a change in price. So looking at an example here, we've got two producers. One firm produces blue widgets, one produces red widgets, let's just say here. And so let's say from week 1 to week 2, the price increased, right? In week 1, the price of a widget was $5, and in week 2, the price of a widget went up to $7.50. Wow, okay, so that's like a 50% increase. Well, due to that, look what the firm did. In week 1, they were only supplying 20 blue widgets. In week 2, they quadruple their production from 20 up to 80. Looks like they're pretty sensitive to that price change, right? Very sensitive. For the red widgets, it's a little bit different. The price change was the exact same, went from $5 in week 1 to $7.50 in week 2, but this firm only produced 5 more. Look, that's only a 25% increase in the amount of widgets produced. 20 in week 1 to 25 in week 2. In other words, they didn't look like they really care that much about that price increase. So at the prices you have here, the supply of blue widgets is elastic because a price change caused a big change in the quantity supplied. But for red widgets, we'd call them inelastic because that price change didn't really have that much of an effect on the quantity supplied. So that's how that works. Now, in terms of graphing everything, again, just like with demand elasticity, it's helpful to look at some extreme examples. So in the first graph here, this is a perfectly inelastic supply. In other words, a firm is completely insensitive to the price of this product. The price could be 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, or 10, and the quantity supplied is going to be 5 no matter what. In other words, the price has no effect on quantity supplied. In the other example, this is a perfectly elastic supply. It is the opposite. Don't worry too much about that one. So these are the extreme examples we can use to then color our discussion of what your more normal supply elasticity graphs look like. So if a firm has a relatively inelastic supply, it's going to be a much steeper curve than if it's elastic. So if you look at this, this should make sense, right? Because the price went all the way up from 1 up to 9, and the quantity supplied only went from 3 to 5. Not a very big change in quantity. Over here, the price rose from just 4 to 6, not a big price change really, but the quantity supplied went from 2 all the way up to 9. So the producers there are pretty sensitive to that price change. Now, a really nice, easy way to remember, which one's which, the steep one, the shallow one, is the inelastic one being so steep kind of looks like the letter I, right? Look at that. It might be like a little italicized, but it looks like the letter I. So the inelastic one, the steep one, kind of looks like the letter I. That's a nice, easy way to remember that. Although, again, in real life, any supply curve is going to have an elastic region and an inelastic region. But just to basically remember, if you've got a big change in quantity supplied, nice and shallow, then you've got a sensitive producer, so it must be supply elastic. Thanks for watching.